This is the Realty Classroom Podcast, episode number 122. The top 4 questions all real estate agents should be asking themselves. Are you a real estate agent with an entrepreneurial spirit who wants to turn your job into a business without sacrificing your lifestyle, but you just can't seem to find the right plan or any plan to help you get there? Well, then, hey, you're definitely in the right place. I'm Danny Griffin, the founder of the Realty Classroom and the host of this podcast. Now, to help you take immediate action, to get planned out and get started in the right direction, if you're new especially, or if you're a veteran, listen to me, top producers, you have to slow down and get planned out. I know it firsthand from making the mistakes. So for all of you, I've created a free wireframe plan that's waiting for you at freeagentgift.com. freeagentgift.com. Fresh off of my mastermind coaching this week, I am telling you the most valuable piece of that course that I've made for you is the download. It's nothing more than a one-page infographic that wireframes out how the business works so that as you learn, you can manage in pieces that make sense. It is the very plan I use to this very day. It is the very plan all these top producers I coach use, and it is what keeps us protected against what happens outside of our control, but definitely inside of our control, inside the business. All right, here we go. Let's get started. And by the way, on the tail of that, that's why I'm doing this subject. The top 4 questions all real estate agents should be asking themselves, all of them. I wish I knew these when I first started my career. I wish somebody gave them to me when I first started because it would have oriented me to thinking strategically before I just try to run out and sell a property. Ask anybody, are you thinking about buying or selling? And it was just chaos at the beginning of my career. And worse, I see agents without a plan out there in the wild, trying to turn it into a business, most of them selling nothing in the first year, 2 years, maybe spinning outside the outside of the business because they're saying, oh, it didn't work for me. No, you just didn't have the right orientation with the right plan. So here we go. The first thing is really about you. And that's the first question that you ask yourself. Why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? In other words, why am I trying to become a real estate agent at all? You have to have some interest in real estate. You can't look at other friends or family members and you can't buy a house or sell a house with somebody and say, well, if they can do it, I can do it. Great, maybe so. But I figure when I watch a hockey game, I say, well, if that guy could make the NHL, I could make the NHL, right? Well, those days are long gone for me. But the point is, you get it, right? You can't just see things that way. Because what happens is you don't really have a foundation. There are so many choices out there of what you could do that you really have to have a reason why you want to do this. So a lot of people that come into it have started off completely incorrectly because of what I said. They just sort of whimsically decide that this might be what it is. And they make the decisions based on their perception of what the real estate agent business is. They say, oh, you can work from home. Oh, well, you can work whenever you want. And you make up all these things about the business that you don't even know anything about yet because you're not in it. And you make that decision. The folks that I have seen be the most successful had a real reason why. Let me tell you about my real reason why. When I left the finance business and I was trying to become an entrepreneur, there was something magnetically attracting me to real estate in general. And I started off becoming an investor, and I loved real estate. And I just kept seeing the opportunity. It was my creative brain that drew me in. I could take a dilapidated property, I could fix it up, I could resell it to somebody and make them happy. And then commercial opportunities. I would see a blank lot and I would see what could go there. So really what happened to me early in my life as I went out of a more formal corporate structure was it just wasn't creative enough for me. It's that simple. I loved that business. I loved aspects of that business. I took a lot of my training as a certified financial analyst into this one and applied it to the pricing it right techniques I use to this day. Sure. But there wasn't a big enough why I wanted to be there. And there was a why to be a creative entrepreneur. And there was that attachment in real estate. You could do that. You could be artistic and yet still be business oriented. However, I'm going to tell you what I didn't recognize at the time. There was a more subconscious why. that when I look back at finance, there was a detachment from helping the people whose money was being managed. So understand that for me, there was a detachment. I'm a face guy. I'm actually an introverted extrovert. I know that'll be hard to believe, but I'm very cerebral when I'm alone, and I like to think when I'm alone. But when I'm there, I really like to be face to face with the decision makers who are trying to help themselves. So I'm a retail person. I like to be right there with people. By the way, I grew up in the retail business, so I liked it. I enjoyed that face-to-face of helping people, serving people. And then I went to college. I went to college where the whole theme underlying education was to be a person for others and to serve. And that just vibed with me. So as I was going through flipping properties and developing, there still wasn't, I mean, the creative was there, but there still wasn't a deep enough something. And I could see that the most satisfying moment wasn't even the creative. It was more so when you would see the happy people that you would sell the property to, that you had solved a problem for them, and that you'd solved a problem where they could go in and call something home and feel safe. And then I hearkened back to that whole thing about being a person for others, but being at a very, very base or a very, very important level, safety, housing, protection, all those things started to bubble up out of my subconscious and said, see, dummy, here's what you really like. So there was a point in time where I was doing other retail businesses, and the idea was they would cash flow and I would go out and do more. I would invest in real estate and do things that way, but I wasn't attached to that retail business. And I said, why don't I just get into the retail side of real estate, because that's what I really like. I really like helping people solve this problem. And in a lot of cases, it is a problem. Even if somebody's financially fine and they're trying to go through it, which happens to me every day. I'm going through several deals where people don't have a finance problem. They don't have any kind of equity problem. But they have a problem and they don't know how to get from here to there. Maybe they're growing older and they're nervous about putting the whole transaction together. I love that. I absolutely live for that moment to this very day. And over time, because I've worked on my business, I took Michael Gerber's statement very seriously, thanks to my mentor for introducing it to me, but I took it very seriously. And so I've continued to build plans beneath me so that I could really live that why. I still love to go do an open house myself. I still love to go show a property myself. And I have the time to do it because I've planned out all of these other parts of it that run the business. So I have this tripolar personality in the context of business where the entrepreneur is getting that creative satisfaction. I get to create a business, build something from scratch. Wonderful. I am ecstatic about that. The next part is I get to go face to face as the technician right down in the field where I'm that retail person helping at the very direct level. Nobody in between me and the person who needs the problem solved. But there was that sandwich in the middle where I didn't, and I bet a lot of you never woke up one day saying, I can't wait to manage the heck out of my business, right? Everybody shuts down. You start talking about management and plans, my brain would shut down. The entrepreneur who just wanted to be creative would be screaming. The technical guy would just be saying, just go sell something else and be quiet. But I fought for it, and I fought for it, and I fought for it. And I said, if I want to be face to face and I want to enjoy this has to be managed, or it's not going to be any fun. Because an unmanaged, let alone mismanaged, an unmanaged business is a real headache and it can swallow you whole. So that's why this becomes important. So why am I doing this? It's now more of a complex answer for me. But in the beginning, I loved real estate and because it offered that sense of home and it allowed me to be creative, but it emerged as I could serve people directly with one of the single largest, most important moments in their life. And I love that. Okay. You heard me say it. Yes, I love that. Next question you should be asking yourself. All right, great. So he loves real estate and the fact that he can help people in that context. What a wonderful thing. However, now let's get down to business. Gerber also challenges in his entrepreneurial approach, but you have to ask yourself, how does the real estate agent business really work? How does it really work? Because as much as you get all excited about the why and you say, well, I'm in it because I want to serve people just like you told me to do. So I run down and I say, nope. The next thing is to say, okay, that can be very satisfying. And by the way, it's very difficult. This is extremely difficult work when you are dealing with a big financial item and big emotions, because it is home, it is safety, it is memories, it is all of those things and more. You have to understand it's difficult work, and I like that too. I didn't want something easy. I want a big problem to solve, right? But I had to look at the bigger issue was if you wanted to do that frequently enough to make it a business, to make a living from this, you have to know how the real estate agent business really works. So you might have some perception of how it works. And by the way, top producers who are producing to this very moment with multi-millions of dollars in sales still don't ask themselves this question enough, and their businesses are dangerously formed. Meaning if one big major recession hits, or something from the outside, like as I'm recording this, we're still in the middle of the pandemic, all these things can affect you. And that's when you realize, oh my gosh, I've been doing pieces of it, but I never really got up above it to see how the whole business really works. And without really going down into the minute details of how it works, I'll just give you a starting point that number one, without sellers who have listings and without the MLS or the multiple listing services to put them in, also known as the marketplace, there's no business. It's chaos. Right? You think about all these things that are structured, and oftentimes we rail against structure and we don't like it. I personally don't like to be told what to do. I like to be coached, but I don't like to be told what to do without understanding how it relates. So I understand that when I tell you this, there might be a little bristling and pushback because I did the same. For years, right out of the box, that technical brain said, go find anybody who's looking to buy. And in the very first 6 months, I sold 6 condominiums at the lowest price possible on Cape Cod is where I started, right? That's how I did it. And I loved helping those people, but I regret that start. I just charted it off incorrectly, and it was all a mess. So if I had looked at it, because they were all buyers, by the way, none of them listings. And here I am, a business person coming out of a Wall Street background. I had completed 2 parts of the Certified Financial Analyst exam. I wanted to go back to business school, all of these things, and I knew better. I just knew better. But there's that thing that, you left all that where there was some money. Now you have to make a living. You tend to manage out of fear, anxiety, desire, competitiveness, whatever. And that person driving the bus is not good, because it wouldn't really have taken me long to use that brain I had begun to develop in that other world to just say, how's this business work? Oh, listings. Okay. Oh, good. All those people that have the signs up, they control the listings. All those listings are in the multiple listing service. And by the way, they control the fee. They're the ones that go in and negotiate a fee with the seller and then offer a portion of that to the buyer. They're in control. That's the way it works to start. Period. That is the corner. That is the foundational block. You will never get away with that. You can explain it away. Oh, but I don't like selling. Those are all excuses we all make. And this is why I'm saying you should be asking yourself this question. But how does it really work? It doesn't preclude you from becoming an exclusive buyer agent, but you still have to ask that. And you still have to understand the implications of your decisions against the way it really works. You don't wag the dog. We're talking about a business that's been around for hundreds of years. It has gained a basic structure where these listings go into a shared environment in MLS. By the way, no different on Wall Street. So here I was with this experience. I mean, again, back in our olden days, and people traded certificates of stock, I don't know, on the street in Wall Street, and then they took it inside of a building, and then it got digitized. You understand this? These businesses work around marketplaces that are clearinghouses for buyers and sellers. Ours is the multiple listing service. That's how this works. You cannot deny it, and it is driven on listings. Want me to prove it? If nobody goes out and gets a seller to list and throws it in there, what are you going to sell as a buyer agent? Let that sink in. Next question. Am I making intentional decisions to stick to the plan? Okay? And to follow the plan. Sorry, I got that backwards. Let me say this again. I'm trying to read my notes from afar. Do I have a simple plan to follow against that business? Let's go there first, right? So do I have a simple plan to follow? So let's go back through this. Why am I doing this? How does the real estate agent business really work? Listings. And do I have a simple plan to follow? Now, I'm not going to tell you a simple plan to acquire only listings. That's a piece of an overall plan. But do I have a simple plan to follow that says, okay, globally, here's how the business works. Globally. And I used, again, freeagentgift.com, freeagentgift.com, freeagentgift.com. Don't try to listen to me and take notes when you can go over there, opt in, and download this infographic that outlines the entirety of a real estate agent business. And that's expanded to agency. That's extended to multiple office agency in a franchise-based model. It's all right there. All I did was try to observe the business, put it down on a piece of paper for myself so I could measure myself against it. So I do have a simple plan. And yes, I do follow it. In fact, when I started the Realty Classroom in 2012, in the fall of 2012, I had that plan pretty close to what you'll see when you download it from the start, because it wasn't rocket science to organize or chunk up the big phases of how the business really worked. I just put it down, made some notes, and I just keep slightly refining it. But if there's an absolute truth to the way something works, it's not going to be refined that much. You're not going to throw that out. No, this year I'm going to come up with something creative and different. See, that's where the creative brain becomes a problem. The analytical brain says, no, this is simple, and here's the way it works, and you can deny that, but here it is. So I have a simple plan. And then over time, I can go deeper into each module of the plan. So for example, in the middle, the modules that need to be managed, right? That's part of it. I have a marketing module and a conversion module right over there on the whiteboard. I was just teaching. That's the 1-2 punch. That's the engine. So how am I going to, where am I going to market to? What message will I use to get the sellers and then subsequently the buyers? And what medium will I choose? Telemarketing, direct mail postcards, direct mail flyers, digital, right? Which digital? All those questions can be asked against the simplistic form, right? That's all it is. You have that plan, you have these forms, you learn things, you chunk them up, you simplify them. And when I'm coaching these days, I've never had a simpler methodology where I can take somebody's coachable problem and say, okay, stop. Against the plan, please. Is this a marketing problem? Is this a conversion problem? Is this a closing module problem? Is this a past client module? Are you in the expansion module? Hiring? You don't have any kind of measurement systems in place? See, those are things that all need to be managed. So we just ask, where's the problem? See, so when you have a simple plan, you can ask your question against this basic manageable, wireframe. It becomes very easy. Okay. Now, once you have that plan, I had these backwards. Let me just say number 4, the fourth question. So the third one was, do I have a simple plan to follow? 4 is, am I making, this word's going to be really powerful and important. Am I making intentional decisions to stick to the plan? So I can think of one of my mastermind members who was trying to make a marketing decision. He has a very good postcard program going, and he definitely gets the up calls from it. We tweaked the messaging. We tweaked the landing page that they would go to so that there was consistency, and we became more intentional. Instead of just blindly sending these or abdicating the messaging out to somebody else, we went back to the plan and said, okay, are they going into the right marketplace? Do people own the median price or above? Is that where you're starting? When you send them a message, what is that message? And when they have a call to action off of that messaging, where do they go? And is the medium of the postcard the best way to deliver it? There it was. We just managed our marketing against that. Well, a couple of weeks later, he said to me, hey, somebody approached me to spend money on a medium of the radio. So, well, wait a minute. Is that the best intentional next step for you in your marketing plan? To get the listings at or above the median in these 2 geographies you want. See how easy this becomes? So we get to go and say, well, are you making an intentional decision to stick to the plan? Or are you just hearing somebody's sales pitch and say, that sounds good, or that top producer does it, so if it works for him, it'll work for... See what I mean? And this is especially for top producers. It's mind-boggling that they have 4 or 5 of the same digital platforms that do the exact same thing, and they're expecting a different result because, number one, they have no true marketing plan. I know, I was one of them. They have no true marketing plan. They have no true marketing plan, and they are not sticking to anything other than trying to figure out if the next digital lead will be the holy grail that changes their business. That's not making intentional decisions to stick to the plan. And for most people, they don't have a plan. freeagentgift.com, freeagentgift.com, freeagentgift.com. If you do nothing else other than download the infographic of the plan, that's a good start. Because 0 is 0, something is something, right? So let me go back over these 4 questions because that's it for today. I'm not going further, but I do have one bonus that I'll add. Asking these questions, these 4 simple questions, is developing what is missing, and that is the management brain, also known as a management perspective. The way that we see this is different over time. It is the best thing that ever happened to me because I am telling you every day that I wake up, if I have an anxiety first about doing something in my business, on my business, it is a manager's perspective. I told a couple of my clients the other day, I have an enormous amount of deals going on. Ironically, one of my marketplaces, I cover Cape Cod and Boston downtown. There couldn't be a greater juxtaposition of the reasons you want to live and be in either one of them. So Boston has been hot for a very long time because it's very specifically a place where you have to be. Cape Cod is not a place you have to be. It's you really, really want to be there. Well, when the pandemic hit, there was a flood out of cities into these secondary markets, so we were slammed. And because of the plan being in place to be intentional to acquire listings at or above and well above, in some cases, the median, we are really, really doing well right now. And even for me, the teacher, the doer for 21 years, the teacher for 16 now, I had to go through this process, and I'm trying to give it to you so you don't make the same mistakes because my management brain is now alive. So when I wake up, it's not, am I thinking about all the deals? Sure. The tactical person in me says, do I have any problems I have to deal with so I don't lose a deal? But it was more so, oh my gosh, these other companies that are doing well are doing these things as managers better than you are. I know it's crazy. But my anxieties now start with management. And anxiety is the wrong word. I don't feel that kind of anxious anymore. I feel calm. I feel clear. I know what to do next. But it's always something to be managed before my brain now goes to the tactical. That's good news for me. That says a bright future is coming because the way that really the business works is to become a bigger agency and to have a plan for the agents to execute. So I'm giving it to all of you agents out there the way that I would if you worked at the Griffin Realty Group. All right, let me go back and review the top 4 questions all real estate agents should be asking themselves. Why am I doing this? Why am I even in real estate or getting into it? 2, how does the real estate agent business really work? 3, do I have a simple plan to follow? 4, am I making intentional decisions to stick to the plan? And a little bonus, asking these questions will develop your management brain or perspective. And I'll summarize it this way. Most real estate agents don't really understand that as independent contractors, they own a business. Once they realize that, it's important to understand that a business must be managed intentionally through a solid but very simple plan, and that a good manager always asks themselves critical questions to be and to stay disciplined. All right, remember, I'm going to say it again. I said it a lot in this podcast. Remember, you can take immediate action and get started in a better planned out strategic direction with our free simple business plan. I say it all the time, every episode. It's over at freeagentgift.com. If you do nothing more than first print out the infographic and stick it to the wall where you work on your business and in it, it'll keep you in that mindset, I got to get organized and planned. Also, don't forget, he said, you can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen. We also broadcast our live sales training calls. So if you do want to get tactical, you want to break from all this management stuff and you want to hear what the implementation of the plan sounds like, we live broadcast on Facebook and YouTube every Friday at 1 o'clock EDT. So if you remember to turn on your page and channel notifications for the Realty Classroom, you won't miss the reminders. Would also appreciate it if you would comment anywhere. If you see my stuff anywhere, just comment, please. And that way I know what you're thinking or what your questions are. I'm a coach by heart. I'm a person for others by deep why. I want to help you, but I can't believe how many people are shy or don't like what? Because we're on the other end of a camera with some sort of a celebritized person you can't talk to? Wrong. Step up, because here's what I always say at the end. I appreciate that you're listening, but I want you to remember, nobody is coming for you. Nobody is coming for you. So go get to work on your own business with a simple plan, and I will see you in the next episode. Thanks for listening.